Welcome to the Aleksandr Dugin reading list. This is a reading list video that I've been wanting to make for quite a while. I'd say for the last several months. I'd been putting it off, but now I decided to just go ahead and make this video. I am very much against the so-called cancel culture, the banning of ideas, people, and books. And I first heard of Dugin many years ago from a friend of mine. In fact, I heard of him through from my friend Wahid Azal, with whom I made a podcast on Shahabuddin al-Suhrawardi almost, I think 2 years ago now. But I really wasn't interested. I was teaching at the American University in Cairo at that time. I had more pressing things to do, and his books also were not at all easily available. There were some PDF things floating around. I don't like to read PDFs. Then almost less than a year ago, I became very interested in reading about Putin and his work, and that was, frankly, through a video I saw by Michael Millerman, who is probably the most knowledgeable person on Dugin in the Western world, and in fact he is the translator of one of his books. We'll get to the reading list in a moment. And at that time I was actually, the way it happened was that I was reading in Western political philosophy. I was reading thinkers like Leo Strauss, Carl Schmitt. This was in connection with some research I'm doing on medieval political philosophy as well. And at any rate, to make a long story short, then I also realized that Dugin had some, relationship in some way to these figures. And I came across this video of Michael Millerman, and then Millerman also actually has a book of which I have not yet acquired a copy, so I can't show it on this video. I'm just going to mention it by name. It's Michael Millerman, beginning with Heidegger, Strauss, Rorty, Derrida, Dugin, and the Philosophical Constitution of the Political. That's published in London by Arctos in 2021. So it's a recent book. That's his Ph.D. dissertation. He sees, he traces back the ideas of all these thinkers to a very important philosopher of the 20th century, Martin Heidegger. And I don't actually have a copy of this book. I have read excerpts of it. It's an important work. So who is Aleksandr Dugin? It's now very much in the news right now. Apparently there was an attempt on his life, and he survived, but the car in which he was supposed to be sitting was blown up. And unfortunately, his daughter actually ended up perishing in this heinous attack. I'm against this kind of thing completely. These kind of acts of barbaric and savage terroristic violence. I think that if people have a problem with Dugin and his ideas and his books, well, then books should be answered with books. You don't bring bombs to a debate. So when I became interested in Dugin, I wanted to read his most important book, namely The Fourth Political Theory. Now let me hold that up properly. The Fourth Political Theory. And this has been translated by Michael Millerman, either in its entirety or portions thereof were translated by Michael Millerman. So this is sort of his most important work. Aleksandr Dugin, his full form name is Aleksandr Gelevich Dugin. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. He's a prominent Russian philosopher. He was born on the 7th of January, 1962. This is just the information that I've been able to find on the internet. There's also some of it on the backs of these books. His daughter, who was a victim of the assassination attempt, which was meant really for Dugin, Aleksandr, is Daria Dugina. She died age 30, 20th of August 2002, or Daria Platonova Dugina. So the Fourth Political Theory is the book which I was trying to get a hold of, and I was surprised that it wasn't available on Amazon. So I thought, this is weird. And then I looked, it seemed to have been canceled from Amazon, but I found it on barnesandnoble.com. But then I became suspicious, and so I actually went to a physical Barnes and Noble bricks and mortar store and ordered the book in the store and paid for it there, and tried to extract an ironclad guarantee that I would receive the book in the mail, which I did. And then some months thereafter, I found out that all of his books, I think after what started in the Ukraine, the current Russian military adventure there, that Dugin had been sanctioned, and so his books are not available on these, well-known platforms like Amazon or Barnes & Noble. They've been completely removed. So on the one hand, the book isn't officially banned in the U.S., to my knowledge, but effectively that's what it comes down to. So after I found out he'd been sanctioned and, sort of denounced, then I thought, he can't find his books. I'm going to find them. I'm going to buy every single one of them. I don't like this kind of censorship. I think people should be allowed to read whatever they want. And so then I actually located all of these books of his, which I'm going to show you now one by one, through various sellers on Abe Books, the Advanced Book Exchange, which is mainly for used books, but you can find new books as well. And I think all of these, are new. So let's just go through this. And one reason I was avoiding making this, but I've decided to make it now, given the situation, the whole sort of demonization of Dugin. I'm not defending Dugin or attacking Dugin. I think you need to read a person before you come to a conclusion. And that's the reason I was avoiding making this video, because I'm still working through the Fourth Political Theory. I haven't read all of these other ones, but I've got them all, and I'm going through them. So I just want to make this list. I want to make it known what these books are, and anyone who wants to find them can find them. So there's the Fourth Political Theory, and there's a successor to this book called The Rise of the Fourth Political Theory, or The Fourth Political Theory Part 2. And all of these are published by Arctos. There's The Theory of a Multipolar World. There's the book Political Platonism, The Philosophy of Politics. There's Ethnos and Society. And there's Eurasian Mission, an Introduction to Neo-Eurasianism. This is an idea with which Putin is very much associated, Neo-Eurasianism. There's Last War of the World Island. And I think this is probably his latest book, at least that's available in English. That's The Great Awakening versus the Great Reset. So another reason I became interested in Dugin is that he has been heavily influenced by the traditionalist author René Guénon, with whom I'm very, very deeply interested and deeply devoted to his writings. I'm doing a whole series on that. If you watch my channel, you know this, that I'm making a whole series of videos on the rating of quantity, and I have a René Guénon reading list. And he's also influenced by someone named Julius Evola. I have an Evola reading list. I have an Evola course going right now, which is, it's a paid course, but it is there. So that was another reason I was interested in learning more about Aleksandr Dugin. He does have this notion of Eurasianism. He's very much opposed to the United States and U.S. hegemony. He's against liberalism. Politically, he's probably somewhere on the right. Again, depending on what you mean by these terms. But he is a serious political philosopher, whether you like him or not. In terms of his status as a traditionalist, like Guénon, a traditionalist with a capital T, or Evola, or the other big names in traditionalism, is somewhat problematic. And one of the prominent contemporary traditionalist authors, someone named Charles Upton, has written a book refuting Dugin entitled Dugin Against Dugin, a traditionalist critique of the fourth political theory. This is not published by Arctos. This is published by another press, Sophia Perennis, or some imprint of Sophia Perennis. It's called Reviviscimus. Anyhow, this is Dugin Against Dugin by Charles Upton. If you've seen my Against the Modern World reading list, then you know that Upton has some other books like Vectors of the Counter-Initiation, a book on the Antichrist called Dajjal. And I found another odd book about Dugin, a kind of engagement with Dugin by some, and I think this is, I would be surprised if this is a real person. This is, I may be wrong, but I think this may be a pseudonym. Arash Najaf Zadeh. It's an Iranian name. It's entitled The European You Write, a Shia Response, a radical critique of Aleksandr Dugin, E. Michael Jones, and Alan de Benoist. This is a very peculiar book. And I say that because this one I've read. As the perspective from which this person is writing is a very strange one, but I'll leave it at that. I don't really want to go into this too much. I think people should read and come to their own opinion. I might make another video on Dugin at some point once I've read through all of these properly, but I wanted to make this video now simply because of the demonization of Dugin, the banning, de facto banning of his works. Again, I'm completely against banning of books. And I just wanted to put that out there so people know what these books are and they can search them out and find them through whatever means. Thank you very much for watching.